Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, Assalamu alaikum to all of you. I hope that you all are fine, happy and fresh. This is your science teacher Muhammad Mashood Khan, and today we are going to discuss about chapter number 5, that is plants and photosynthesis, but in particular the topic of discussion will be the function of xylem and phloem. That what is the function of xylem and phloem in the plant, how they play an important role in it, and what is their function. So basically, just shortly, xylem and phloem are the veins of the plant which carry the food and water to the whole plant. Xylem takes water to the entire plant while phloem take food. Another thing that will be under discussion is the transportation in plants, that how this water and food is transported in the entire plant through xylem and phloem, how these are spreaded in the plants, and how xylem takes and phloem takes the water and the food to all parts of the plant. This will be the under discussion. We will watch some video on it, I will explain it, and then we will discuss about the transportation of food and water in plants. So let's see. So at the end of the topic, you will be able to know the function of xylem and phloem, and you will be able to explain the transportation in plants. So all plants need water. Plant root absorb water and mineral from the soil. Water absorb is mainly carried out by root hairs. These narrow-walled hair greatly increase the area over which water absorption can take place. Water and minerals enter the root by two pathways. Xylem vessel along narrow hollow tubes containing no living material. Xylem transport water and soluble mineral nutrients from the roots to the other parts of the plant. You can see it is transported to the entire plant now. So about 95% of the water absorbed is lost through the stomata present in the leaves. This process is known as transpiration. The number of stomata is more on the lower surface of the leaves. If transportation happens throughout the day, then there will be great loss of water. This is controlled by the stomata opening and closing mechanism. During the daytime, water enters into the guard cells along with potassium ions. This brings about a change shape in the guard cells, and the stoma opens during the night. The potassium ions and the water molecules leave the guard cells. Thus, tragedy decreases and the stoma closes. Stoma also add as main sites of gas exchange in plants' leaves. Leaves make use of water and the carbon dioxide for photosynthesis. Glucose formed during photosynthesis is transported to the other parts of the body through phloem cells. Phloem tissues consist of less specialized cells, saved tube cells, and companion cells. Transport of food in phloem can be up or down the stem to reach all the parts of the plant. You can see that the food, how phloem tissue consists of less specialized cells, saved tube cells, and their companion cells, and how the transport of food in phloem can be up or down through the stem. Hence, the transportation in plants is function of xylem and phloem cells. Now let's discuss the summary. Define transportation. Revise few major points. Define transportation. So transportation is the process of transporting water, minerals, and food to all parts of the plant body. So now, as you can see in the figure, that how water and minerals are absorbed by the root and is transported to the entire plant, you can see in the figure. The water and minerals are absorbed from the soil, and then they are transported to leaf and all parts of the plant through xylem and phloem. So the xylem takes water, and while phloem takes the food from the root, from the soil, and is transported to the entire plant. You can see the figure. This you can see that how it is transported. The next is how transpiration takes place in plants. In plants, the water is required is absorbed. The water required is absorbed by the roots from the soil with the help of root hairs by a process called osmosis. So the question arises how transpiration takes place. So the basic answer is through osmosis. That how by a process of osmosis the water is transported. Osmosis and diffusion are the similar things in which water moves from the higher concentration to the lower concentration. So the amount of water is present in the soil is greater as compared in the roots. So water moves from the higher concentration to the lower concentration, which means the water travels from soil to roots, which means the plant will absorb the water, and similarly the nutrients present in the water will be absorbed by the plant, and hence it will be supplied to the whole plant. The next is both xylem and phloem tissues take part in the process. Yes, in transportation the xylem and the phloem tissues both take part in the process. That the xylem and phloem, the xylem take water while the phloem takes the food to the entire plant. These are two tubes which carry water as well as food absorbed from the soil. So food is in the form of minerals and also in the form of some nutrients which is carried by the phloem to the entire plant in the leaves and also in the stems. The next is xylem. The water is further transported upward through the stems to the leaves through xylem, which acts as a pipeline. Xylem cells have thick walls. This is what I have already discussed before, that xylem transport water, and xylem, the further addition is that the xylem cells have thick walls. You can see in the figure there are mesophyll cells, xylem vessel is there, air spaces are shown, and the water molecules, the guard cells are there, the stoma is there. You can see the water which is excreted through stoma is coming out, and the transportation of water is done by the xylem. So you can see this animation, and through which you can easily understand how the process of transportation is done through xylem. You can see the water molecules which are moving. One is coming out of the stoma and the rest of the water is supplied further to the next plant. Now phloem. Phloem moves food from the leaves throughout the plant of the body. So phloem, as discussed earlier, takes out the food, absorbs the food from the soil, and then it carries to the whole plant. So you can see in the figure the phloem is taking food to the entire plant. These are the tubes which are spreaded in the entire plant, in the leaves, in the stems, in all parts of the plant. These tubes are spreaded up, which takes the food as well as it is spreaded to all parts of the plant. So to provide water, minerals and food for each part of the plant, helping in the growth. Yes, this is what happens ultimately, that after absorbing the water and the food, the plants grow.